Hello everybody, I'm Tomix and I love city building games. I've played a lot of them over the years, like a lot. Some of them you probably know, but many of them you've probably never heard of. So I was gonna make a ranking list of pretty much every notable city building game until I realized there's quite a few more than even I realized. So instead we're ranking 55 city building games, mostly the ones I've already played, with a few additional ones that I have something to say about. Could be old, could be new, could be yet unreleased. To help slim it down, we're focusing strictly on cities. That means no RTS games where the focus is more about strategy and battles than it is about building a city, no factory builders, no transport sims, no business sims, and no small-scale colony sims. Sorry, Oxygen not included, I still love you though. If you end up enjoying this list, let me know and I may make a part 2 with more upcoming releases, games I've yet to try, more genres, etc. Because believe me, there is a lot to talk about. Let's dive in. Alright, we have our categories over here, and we have our games down below. Let's start with SimCity 4, since that's a classic. SimCity 4 Deluxe is probably one of the best city building games ever. I think everyone who loves the genre is well aware of that. Graphics are great, you can build huge looking cities, there's lots of transportation options, it's overall one of the ultimate city builders. There's not much else to say. If you have any interest in the genre, you've already played it. What about the reboot though? The SimCity 2013, this game is so widely hated for basically crashing the SimCity genre into the ground. So, do we put in the shame on you category? No, honestly, I think it's a good game. Listen, it's bad for ruining the SimCity franchise. It could have done a lot of things way the hell better, but it was still a fun game. And it did some creative stuff, and I'm not saying I'm a huge fan. I'm just saying I spent a lot of hours enjoying it, despite its flaws. So I'm putting it in good. You're welcome to disagree. Anyway, speaking of good games, we have Cliff Empire, a not super well-known one. It's a little indie city builder where you build a city on top of some frozen cliffs. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it in good right next to SimCity. It's a small game, it's not as super detailed as some of the other ones, but it's fun. It does what it does well, even if that's not a lot, it is a fun game, and I do recommend it if you want like a little simple city builder. Let's go a little more historically. Let's start off with SimCity, the original, the really first one that Maxis made. Where do we rank this? Because, I mean, it was a mind-blowing game when it came out, but obviously technology's progressed since, and, like, I think I'm gonna put it in good, because despite it having aged, I still can imagine myself playing it on like a ROM or something, and having a good time. Even though we have more advanced SimCity games, I think it's still fun. Same goes for SimCity 2000. SimCity already taking up a lot of the good category. Though actually, you know what? I think I might upgrade it to Fantastic, just because, unlike the other SimCity games, it has the accompanying games of Streets of SimCity and Simcopter, where you can actually play full video games inside your own city that you built. So I think that actually gives it a leg up above the rest. Like, what other game has ever done anything like that, where you have like a full video game that you can play inside a custom-built city? SimCity 3000 was also fantastic. I remember it very fondly, and it has one of the best soundtrack songs ever. I haven't really played it since SimCity 4 came out, at least not a lot, so I don't remember much of it, but I'm just gonna leave it in the fantastic category. And obviously, let's complete the SimCity franchise by adding SimCity Societies to the Shame on You category. Shame on you, SimCity Societies. You were a bad game and you ruined a perfectly good franchise. Now, alongside the SimCity games, there was also a game called SimTown, which was a cute little town builder for kids. It was a little goofy, and it wasn't like the most amazing game ever, but for a kid it did the job, I guess. I'm wondering if to put it in meh or good, but you know what, I spent so much time on it as a kid, I'm gonna give it a good, because if it was completely meh, I probably wouldn't have played it at all. Now here we have an interesting entry called Afterlife. Afterlife was apparently a version of SimCity 2000 that was Afterlife themed. You would be building heaven and hell. Now here's the thing, I only learned this game existed a few years ago. I didn't know about its existence as a kid, and I've never actually played it. I looked at the graphics when I found out about it. It didn't look like my cup of tea, but you know, it's still based on SimCity 2000. I'm gonna put it on haven't played but neat, because, you know, I love SimCity 2000, but also the graphics hurt my eyes. Speaking of games I haven't played, I'm gonna lose some credit with some of the city builders in the audience right now, but I'm gonna put the entire Anno series in the haven't played but meh category, because I only played one demo of one of the Anno games. I think it was Anno 2070, and I didn't like the mechanics. It didn't grab me. I get the feeling some of them might grab me if I ever give them a chance, but I don't know. That demo just, wow, it was not my cup of tea. I think I actually left out Anno 16 something here, but whatever. The entire Anno series is in the haven't played but meh category. It was a little too mission based for me from what I remember, and like you'd have certain objectives, and I didn't like that there's no like proper road planning. You just like set out a road of one size and for everything you need. I don't know, just wasn't my style of city builder. If anyone that gets a taste for my taste of city building tells me otherwise, I might actually give them a go. Let's move on to something a little newer with The Colonists. The Colonists is a game I played recently. It's a little city builder where you build a colony of robots, and it was good. It had its flaws and a little bit of gameplay weirdness, but at the same time it was original, and it had a great campaign where every level was different, and I really appreciated it for it. I played better games, I've played worse games, but you know what? I'd still recommend getting it if it's like on sale and it looks appealing to you. I did spend quite a lot of time playing it and had fun. Let's go next to City State, the game where you build a city that's focused more on politics and edicts and the rules you set for your city than it is about, you know, making sure there's enough businesses or whatever. I played it for the first time pretty recently because I saw Citystate II came out. And honestly, I'm feeling between like good and meh about it. See, here's the thing. It's a fun game, but once you kind of get the hang of how the politics works, unless you really want to experiment and be like an evil dictator or try like totalitarianism or something, you just kind of end up building the same city and facing the same struggles. And it's, I don't know, just didn't super grab me. So even though it's probably better than just meh, I am going to just leave it at meh. Which of course means Citystate II that recently came out is going to go in the haven't played but meh pile too. Oh, found another Anno that I missed. Ooh, and here we have The Settlers, that game from when I was a little kid. Gosh, it's been ages since I played it. I remember Jack Diddley squat about it. All I remember is that back then I really loved it. I'm sure it doesn't hold up to modern game standards, but because I haven't played it since and all I can go on is my memory, I remember having fun with it, and I will put it as good. There's a whole bunch of Settlers games that came out since. I've not played any of them. If any of them are like surprisingly good, let me know. I'll give them a try, but I haven't had particular interest in them. I just remember liking that one. Next up, we have the legendary, the famous Banished, the medieval city builder sim that everyone seems to really freaking love. So, where do I put this? Best game ever? Fantastic? No, I'm actually gonna put it in good. See, here's the thing about Banished. Banished is fun. It's a good game. It's enjoyable. But I always minded the fact that you don't actually have a goal. Once you get a city that's working and functional, which admittedly takes a bit of time and is a little bit hard, but then you get to that point and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Do I just keep expanding? yeah, I guess I can just keep expanding until I either run out of space to build on, or I run out of resources, and then I'm kind of screwed. And oh my god, that's kind of what we're doing here on Earth. We're building and building until we either run out of resources or space, and what are we doing? And you know, I just don't like games that give me an existential crisis. So for that, it's landing in the good category. However, there is a game called Planetbase that I freaking love. It's basically Banished, but instead of medieval times, it's Mars, and in addition to having similar mechanics, it also has goals and scenarios and even like a custom campaign that I recently downloaded, and that makes this game fantastic. It's a little simple, could use a little more detail to be in the best game ever category, but it is excellent and I love it. A game much like it, but way more complex, is Surviving Mars. Surviving Mars is another Mars colony sim, has a lot of similarities to Planetbase, but more depth. It's also just wonderful, incredible. I love spending time on it, and every so often I go back and play it more. I still haven't finished everything because there's just so much content in it. I really recommend it. Next up, we have Townscaper. Townscaper is a difficult one to rank because it's not really a game, it's more of a tool. You just basically kind of click around to make something that looks like a city, and that's that. There's no like challenges. It's sort of a Zen garden experience. And here's the thing, it's great at what it does. For me, I don't really see the appeal all that much. I'd probably play it for like 10 minutes and then be done with it. So I haven't actually played it. It looks like it's good if you're into that, but for me, that's a meh. I might be more into it if it actually had like more features and more stuff you can build, but it looks like a little too much on the simple side for me. Now, I have another set of videos that talks about the history of city building games and tycoon games, and in them I mention a whole bunch of games that helped contribute to the progress of the genre. And one of those games was City Life. City Life is not a super well-known one, but it was one of the first games to sort of breathe some life back into the genre of city building games. And, like, it was one of the best games out at the time, but that means jack diddly squat because at the time there were no good games. I'd say it's somewhere between meh and good. I'm gonna put it in good just because of its significance at the time. I would have put it higher on the list, but it just focused too much on classes of society and not having one class live next to the other, and less about just building an organic city. But other than that, it was a good modern city builder in a time when we didn't really have those. I could probably still enjoy it if I replayed it, just, you know, there's better stuff out there. Before We Leave is a fairly newish indie city builder where you basically build a bunch of cities on different tiny planets, and you move from planet to planet to avoid a cataclysm. I had fun with it. It's a good game. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna also put it in the good category, which I do realize is getting kind of crowded, because it was fun. I enjoyed it. It didn't blow me away. I played it for a long time, but I did fizzle out eventually. I may go back and finish it at some point. I do like that there's an actual goal to it, and there's stuff you need to do. Cities XXL. This is also a game that was on my history of list, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the shame on you pile. See, here's the thing. It's a decent game. I could probably have some fun with it if I go back to it, but it promised so much more than it delivered, like so much more, and it actually disappointed fans so hard that it bankrupted the studio that made it. So yeah, this goes in the shame on you pile. If it wasn't for all that, and I just like, okay, you know what, here's a game, play it as is, I'd probably think it was fine. I'd probably put it in the meh pile, but no, shame on you. Tycoon City, New York. I don't know how many of you even are aware of this game's existence. There's not a whole lot of talk about it. This one's a difficult one to rank, because here's the thing, it's not like a standard city builder. You build buildings around the existing grid of New York streets. And I don't know, I really liked it. I don't feel it's necessarily an amazing example of the city builder genre, but I do know that back when I bought it like a freaking decade or more ago, I thought it was like surprisingly good, more than I expected a game about building one specific city to be. So I'm gonna stick it in the good pile. I mean, it's definitely not SimCity 3000 or Planetbase level, but it was a good time. Blockhood. Blockhood is a game where you sort of build buildings at the neighborhoods. I don't know what to describe it as. Vertically, you add like little streets and little structures and basically build up. Here's the thing, it's a fun game, it's a nice game. It was a little too surreal for me, just a little too abstract and not enough you know, substance and realism to it as much as I would like. It was still a good game, I enjoyed it, but you know, meh. Oh, actually, I don't know, either meh or good, because I did finish it. Would I have finished a game that wasn't good? Okay, I'm putting it in good, but it's a tentative good. No, you know what? The good category's crowded. You go in meh. TheoTown, a mobile game that actually came to Steam. I played it, and here's the thing. As a mobile game, it's probably one of the best city builders you could ask for. As a PC game, all it did is make me want to play SimCity 4, which is basically what it is with some differences. It's not like a direct copy, but pretty much everything it tries to do, SimCity 4 does just a little bit better. So, how the fuck do I rank this? Oh my god, I'm gonna end up putting everything in the good pile, right? Well, what can I say? Would I have played this stuff if it wasn't at least good? Yeah, TheoTown is in the good pile. No, actually, you know what? TheoTown goes into the meh pile because it's a decently made game. And again, if you're looking for something for mobile, get it. But as a PC game, it's meh just because SimCity 4 does everything it does better, with very few minor exceptions. Balancity! It's an old game where you balance a city on a teeter-totter. It was like a casual game, and it was okay, I guess. It just, you know, you play it for a little bit and forget about it. Meh. But then the people who made it decided to make a fuller game out of it called TinyTopia, which is in 3D and has more mechanics. Sometimes it's more about balance, sometimes it's more about actual city building, and that upgraded this game from meh to good. It's also good for, like, younger players. It's not necessarily just for younger players, but, you know, if your kid is into city builders, then this is a good option. It's not, like, super micromanagey or anything. Just the right amount for something kind of fun and basic. Alright, let's do the Tropico series. Now, Tropico 1, I've only played it after I've already played Tropico 3 and I think also 4. It was the one that started the franchise. And you know what? Back when it came out, it was probably amazing. I'd say in today's standards, it's probably just, you know, good. Maybe even meh, but I can definitely see myself enjoying playing through the campaign. In fact, I think I did that at some point. Not sure if I ever finished it, but it kicked off a good series. Tropico 2. I think I fired it up for maybe 10 minutes and was like, nope, and left because I don't like pirates. So, somewhere between meh and shame on you. It's probably still a decent game if you don't hate pirates, so I'm just gonna put it in the meh pile. Tropico 3, however, that was the game that really raised the series into the legendary area as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna put it in fantastic. Tropico 4 was a lateral move because, you know, it just gave us something that felt like an expansion pack to Tropico 3 rather than a brand new game. But here's the thing. More of a great thing is still great. So even though the graphics were kind of the same and they probably could have done more, it was still an amazing game. So, you know, a lateral move keeps it on the same level. Tropico 5, they did a whole lot of stuff different. Some of it I liked more, some of it I liked less, but as a general rule, it is still fantastic. There's just, what can I say? Tropico is my favorite game series, which brings me to Tropico 6, which, you know, surprise, surprise, also fantastic. They're not doing the mistake of Tropico 4. They keep trying to mix things up at least a little bit between games. But they also have added stuff over the years, voice acting and great campaigns. The campaigns are really what makes this game. It's maybe a little less city buildery than the other games I've mentioned, like this entire series as a whole, I mean. But the campaign is so much fun, and it's so good, and it still is very much a city builder, even though there's other elements to it. The Tropico series is by far one of the best series I've ever played, and I fully recommend it. Can't wait for there to be a Tropico 7. If I have one critique that almost knocks Tropico 6 down is that the DLCs don't add as much to it as they do to the other games, but you know what, that doesn't change the fact that the base game is freaking fantastic. Now let's move on to Islanders. In Islanders, it's more of a casual game where you try to place buildings next to each other to rack up points. Now, I really like Islanders as a casual game. It's fine, it's fun. My only issue with it is that it's a high score based game, but it randomizes the islands you work with every time you play, which basically means that beating your own high score is semi-insignificant because you can never be sure if it's because you actually played something better or if you just got an island that's easier to work with. Which is the only reason I haven't played it more. I still can't bring myself to put it in the meh pile because it's a fun, relaxing Zen game if you really need to turn off your brain, but I'm gonna put in the good pile. Homewind, however, is a newer game that takes that formula from Islanders and basically gives it levels and a campaign, vastly improving on it, I think. However, it's still a casual game, and it's just difficult to break out of the good category with a casual game. Having said that, though, let's focus on the one casual game that actually does that. Concrete Jungle, I am going to put in the fantastic pile, but with a little caveat, because here's the thing, it is a casual game, and it is more of a card game than it is a standard city builder. Basically, in this game, you have two city builders building cities at each other, trying to rack up as much points as they can. Different city planners have different abilities, and you can choose what cards to purchase for your deck in a series of increasing challenges. Now, it feels a bit weird putting such a smaller game on the fantastic pile, especially next to games like Tropico, Planetbase, and SimCity, which are, of course, far superior to it. But I just legit can't imagine a casual game being a whole lot better than Concrete Jungle. The graphics are great, the gameplay is great, it has enough content, it gives you a bang for your buck, and I go back and play it every so often because it's just so much fun. So screw it! It's in the fantastic pile. Deal with it. Project Aura. An indie game where you play a city built in a post-apocalyptic oceanic wasteland, and I am gonna have to put this in the shame on you pile. I'm sorry, I really want to like this game. It was on my wishlist for years before I got it. Now here's the thing about this game, it looks like a great game if you can actually figure out how to play it. I'm sure for the developer who knows how everything works and how to get from point A to point B, this is a wonderful game with excellent gameplay mechanics. The thing is, for me, I tried to do the tutorial and I failed the tutorial. I couldn't figure out why I need to click here to do that, etc, etc. It looks like there's a very good game hidden behind a very bad user interface here, which is just heartbreaking. I really want to like this, but sadly, I don't. Another game where you build a city in the middle of the sea is Seasteader. Now, here's the thing about Seasteader. The graphics are horrid. They are so bad. They need a huge revamp, but overall, this is a good game. I mean, it feels like Diet Tropico, which is a huge compliment as far as I'm concerned. It's not quite as detailed as Tropico, but the mechanics are similar, and you know what, if you've already played all the Tropico games and you just need a little bit more, then this will hold you over until they announce a new one or something. I had a lot of fun playing through the campaign here. Next up, we have City Skylines, the big famous one that took the crown from SimCity. Everybody who likes city builders knows this game, there is no exception here. Considered one of the best in the genre, and you know what, it deserves it. Alright, so where do I put this game? Because here's the thing, a lot of people would probably put in the best game ever pile, but there's just a few notes that it misses for me. Don't get me wrong, it's one of the best city builder games ever made, but I would have liked a few different things. Namely, graphics. I just don't like how the buildings in it look. The workshop support is amazing, though, but also the workshop support can sometimes crash my game. I would have loved a better campaign, but can you really argue with the fact that it's the game that brought back city builders as a whole? I'm gonna put it in fantastic, just because, you know, it's amazing, but when I go back to play it, I fizzle out because I'm just missing a certain something from it. Next up, we have Hearthlands. This game, wait, I know, it looks like a mobile game, it looks like one of those mini transaction games that kind of suck ass, but you know what? This is a good game. I like this game. It was way better than I expected it to be, and I'll probably go back and continue playing it at some point because that's what I do every few months. It is not, in fact, one of those mobile games. You don't have to wait for something to get built, or you can pay coins to forward it. It's just like a game that's pretty decent, has decent mechanics, and happens to look like a mobile game. Because, I don't know, that's just what the graphics are. Still a decent game, though. Zeus and Pharaoh both go into the good category because for both of them, they were fantastic games that I remember enjoying for many, many hours as a kid. Here's the thing though, I haven't played them since. I'd probably enjoy giving them another look. I think if they were really fantastic or best game ever categories, I probably would have gone back to them at some point or heard more people talking about them. But as it were, I do remember them being great. And you know what? If you find them on sale for like $1 because they're really freaking old, then get them. They were great games. I don't remember details, but I remember that much. Oops, I put Hearthlands here twice. Make Your Kingdom. I've played the demo for this upcoming game where you build a medieval sort of society. Now, here's the thing. I remember I enjoyed it. I remember absolutely nothing else. I just remember I enjoyed it. So I'm going to put in the haven't played but neat category because, you know, on one hand, I don't remember anything about the actual gameplay. On the other hand, I remember I enjoyed it and was like, hey, I can't wait for this game to come out. I do want to buy it. So yeah, that's neat. The Mims. Okay, here's the deal with the Mims. It's a city builder where you build an alien settlement on a bunch of tiny little asteroid planets, progressing through a plot. Now, I am a big fan of a campaign. Other than that, it kind of felt a little outdated. The graphics aren't amazing. And I got almost all the way to the end before fizzling out. It's a fine game. It's fun. You know, you can probably spend some hours on it. But if I'm being really critical and not just piling everything in the good pile just out of politeness, it was probably a little more meh than the others, even though I'd probably put between meh and good. So yeah, in the meh pile it goes. I'd say it's comparable to TheoTown and Citystate in how much fun it is. Rebuild 3, Gangs of Deadsville. Another game that I feel a little guilty about putting in the fantastic pile because it's not a standard city builder. Instead, it's a game where you reclaim cities from zombies and use the resources and buildings that you find to basically make a functioning city. This and its two predecessors, Rebuild 1 and 2, are some of the first post-apocalyptic city builders I've ever seen. And what can I say? This game is excellent and very, very fun, and I very much recommend it if it looks at all like it might be your cup of tea. It's challenging and it can be both ridiculous and funny and occasionally kind of terrifying, which is exactly what I'd expect out of a cartoony zombie city builder. Except it goes a little further and it's just a very good game. So even though it's not completely a standard city builder, yeah, I fully recommend this as a fantastic game. Cities VR. Let's talk about VR city builders for a second. I was really looking forward to having proper city builders in VR back when I was like really into virtual reality. But at first, obviously, we only had like these little tiny demo games that weren't very impressive, and there's plenty of those, and I considered putting them on the list, but I didn't want to flood it. But now we actually have an announcement for a proper city builder in VR, which is basically a VR port of City Skylines. City Skylines, as previously mentioned, is a fantastic game. It has far more depth and micromanagement and all that good stuff than any other VR city builder, and you know what? That just makes me super hype about it. I don't really touch my VR headset very often nowadays, but this is definitely something that would make me consider getting back on it, if not for the fact it's for the Quest, which I don't have, but I'm putting it in the haven't played but yay pile anyway, because I would be super hyped to play this if given the chance. So hell yeah, you go Cities VR. Now here's a divisive one, Rimworld. Most of you have probably already heard of Rimworld to some extent or another. It's a colony city builder on a foreign planet. It's gotten many updates over the years, and when I went back to play it recently, it was so much more fun than I remembered it. It's a very in-depth game and very enjoyable. I really like it. Now here's the thing, I'd put it somewhere between good and fantastic if I could, because, well, I certainly like it more than, say, Tropico 1, but not quite as much as I like the rest of the Tropico series. I know a lot of people would put it in the fantastic or best game ever category, but this is my list, so F off. I don't know what to do. On one hand, I like it about as much as I like SimCity 2013, but I also like it about as much as I like SimCity 2000 today. But because SimCity 2000 is mostly there because of nostalgia, I'm gonna go ahead and put it with SimCity 2013 here in the good pile. I'm sorry, Rimworld, you deserve just a little bit better, but that's not currently an option. Though frankly, I think put it in the same category as Banished is fair, because that's another game everybody seems to love that I just don't feel as strongly about. But let's go the other way around with Frostpunk. Frostpunk, as anyone who's seen me talk about city builders might know, is my favorite game. This game is fantastic, and it is just so good and well made and well tailored. Love, 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 love. In it, you basically play a steampunk sort of city that has to deal with an ice age that came out of nowhere. You scavenge for resources and build your city, progressing through the plot as the game gets harsher and harsher, and you gotta make some very difficult calls to make sure that your city survives. This is mostly a campaign-style game, sandbox players beware, but what can I say, this campaign is immaculate. It is so well tailored, I love it. If you get it, get all the DLCs while you're at it. I cannot recommend this game enough. For sure, one of the best games I have ever played. Even if it doesn't have one of the things I like most, which is like public transportation, you know what, screw it, I'll forgive it for a game this friggin' good. This game is like if Dark Souls and SimCity had a baby, and that baby was evil. But I like this game so much that I already ordered a board game based on it, and I cannot wait for Frostpunk 2, which is scheduled to come out at some point. All the yes. From there, let's move on to Factory Town, which I recently bought. It looks very fun in the trailer. I played it and kind of got bored very soon, but I might have just not, you know, gotten enough into it yet to get to the interesting parts of the game. So, good meh, good meh. I like what I see in the trailer. I'm gonna put it in good. I probably just need to give it another proper go. And NewCity. NewCity is a game where the biggest appeal from what I've seen is that you can build cities that are freaking huge! Way bigger than anything else. Unfortunately, it comes at the cost of the graphics. The buildings are not super impressive, but yeah, you know, it's a give and take. It's currently in early access. I had fun with it. I keep wanting to maybe check back in on it, but I also don't remember it like blowing me away or anything, so I'm gonna put it in good. And finally, we have Urbek, another upcoming game where you build a little voxel city. Now, I only played the demo, but I can say that the demo was excellent, and I really can't wait for this. So, even though I played the demo, I'm gonna maybe put it in haven't played, but yay pile, because, yeah, the full game looks like it's gonna be very fun. It's an interesting concept because there's no money in this game, there's only resources. So, unlike pretty much all of the other games on my list, this one is not capitalist. It's a non-capitalist modern city builder, which is an interesting take. that about sums it up for this list. There are still so many more city builder games that I want to talk about, mostly upcoming games. There are so many of them. But I didn't want to make this video too long, so if you'd like to see me talk about upcoming city builder games, let me know and I will add more to this list. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments, not because of some algorithm, I just genuinely want to know what you think. Is there a game here that you thought I didn't give a good enough chance to and you think I should? Is there a game that you think I entirely missed? Is there a game that's been out for a while now that you're not sure why it isn't on this list? Let me know, I want to know. But until next time, I've been Tomix, I currently am Tomix, and will hopefully continue to be Tomix, and I will see you in the next video. Oh hey, check it out, related videos, cool.